Welcome to a monthly recap. Last month, May 2025, was a very, very big month for me, and I felt like it was a really good idea to encapsulate everything that I've been able to reflect on and put it into one video so that if there are any little golden nuggets that anybody can feed from, then they're all in one place. And also, I want to be able to look back on this time in my life and just kind of reminisce a little bit when I'm like 105. It'd be cool for my kids to look back on this stuff as well. Um, so I think the first thing that I want to just open up with was the changes that I made to my routine. And I want to zoom back a little bit first and just say that it's taken me years to be able to put all of this together. This is not like I just woke up one day and suddenly had all of this like experience and these capacities to be able to put all of the different pieces together. So it's been a very slow process, and it's taken moving houses, changing jobs, changing my hours within the same job, then moving from a slightly different method of working within that same company. I've let go of friends, I've let go of relationships, I've had to move in with family members for like the best part of like 2.5 years so that I could save money to invest, and have the freedom to be able to take time out of work if I wanted to sort out my like mental health and just be able to spend some time figuring out where I want to go. So there's been a lot that goes into where I'm at right now. So when I'm going through this stuff, um, don't feel like I'm being like nonchalant when it's like, oh, I just happened to change this and move my entire life around. It's like there's been a lot of work that's gone into being able to do that, both practically and like feeling okay within myself to do stuff like this. But I've definitely been a lot more regulated, a lot less reactive, like emotionally. And when I have been more reactive and been a little bit more emotional, I've been able to sort of grab it a little bit rather than being like moody and quiet and isolating and, seeking out external sources of being able to soothe and regulate through something else. A lot of that work's taking place internally now. I think the first thing that I want to share, and these are like, feel like these are things that are going to be like quite useful for people to understand on how much of a difference it can make, is like living. I live in a shared house, but I've got like the downstairs basement. I've got like an ensuite. I've got my own door to the garden, which nobody else kind of uses. And then I've got like no neighbours either from anywhere. Kitchen's upstairs. But like I've got my own space for the first time in, oh man, actually might be the first time that I've ever lived kind of like by myself, not being in somebody else's presence throughout the majority of the time. Shared bedrooms, all that sort of stuff. And wow, I think that's probably got to be the number one thing. Like, if you are living with somebody, or you're living with parents or friends, and they're getting on your nerves, they're getting under your feet, you need to change that shit. Like, go and work more hours and change that shit, because that is it's a different world. Like, not feeling any outside pressures, not feeling any judgment, and being able to like control your environment completely and set it up in a way that suits you for what you want to do with your day. Like I've got a whiteboard on my wall there that's got like a list of my goals. I've got my desk here, and there's nothing else to distract me. I've got my windows over there. I move my bed around. I've got my own fridge upstairs, and it's organised in the way that I want it. Like I do all my own shopping, obviously, and they're just the little things like nobody eats my food, or like I don't have to think about what somebody else wants for dinner and stuff like that. Like when you're in a mode of work like I am at the minute, where I'm like working full time. I'm training a few times a week. I'm doing sauna. I'm recording videos. I'm being really conscious towards where I spend my energy. Those type of things are like just absolutely um, godsend. And I think within that, another really important element is like being able to take responsibility for myself, but also realizing that I have to take responsibility for my place where I'm in life. feel like it's a very big one to get your head around that. Like, don't play victim. You know, don't. It's not the government's fault. It's not your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend's fault. It's not your parents' fault. Like, don't get me wrong. I think there are situations that can make it difficult, but ultimately we are conscious adults and we can choose to do what we want. We can move out. We can change jobs. We can leave relationships. You know, we can set boundaries with people, and I think when you start to take responsibility, like I've really genuinely started to accept that I'm in the circumstance that I'm in right now because of the decisions that I've made, the things that I've allowed to happen, and the things that I've chosen not to pursue, the people that I've left behind, the people that I stayed with in too long, the living situations that I might have stayed in for too long. It's all me, my responsibility, my fault. But within that, I've also felt this sense of like, well, if everything that I did before was all up to me, then I can actually do what I want moving forward. It's very controlling rather than feeling overwhelming. But again, it took me a long time to get to the point where I could see that as I'm in control and that's a healthy thing, rather than, oh my God, everything's going crazy and I feel really overwhelmed. So, time helps with that as well. I think another really big thing is like changing and experimenting with my hours at work. Over the past sort of 5 or 6 months, I've done 3 different shift patterns and I've done 3 different boards. So I'm a driver. I drive buses for a living and we work on running boards. So one running board might have got like 6 to 8 routes. And then on that board, you've got different shift times. So you've got like a shift that's rotating. So you might do 1 week earlys, 1 week mids, 1 week lates. You've got like permanent mids, permanent lates. So I've not only changed the hours that I do, I've also changed the boards as well to find a balance that suits me. So, I mean, I've had to learn every route in my city, pretty much every route. And I've sacrificed a lot of sleep, a lot of time, a lot of just energy. Like, there's been weeks on end where I've done 55, 65, 75 hours of driving, learning, being on a map, having a piece of paper on my break time, underlining, going on Google Maps on my phone to figure out where the route goes, and just generally putting a lot of time into that because of the fact that I wanted to find the most optimal working pattern for like my sleep, for my energy, for the gym, so that I can record, so that I've got a routine, and also so that it's as stimulating and as calm as possible. You need to find that balance. And just, it's about trying to figure out how you can be at work and work smarter rather than only working harder, because there's only a certain amount of energy that you've got in the day. And it's like, I just found it really important to ask myself, like, what can I change without having to change jobs? Because for what I do, the amount of stress and mental load that I have to deal with at work compared to the money that I get out of it is like the best job I've had. So I don't want to leave the job, but I knew that there was a more optimal way to approach it. So yeah, like being flexible with that kind of stuff with work has really, really helped me. I think another thing as well is, now that I've got my space, I've sorted my work out, that's then put me in a situation where I've got like a surplus of energy. I've got a little bit of extra time, and that's then allowed me to start to film videos again, to pursue like my long-term passion, which is basically, helping people see and find out the seemingly small changes that they can make, which are going to have a long-term, like, systemic impact in their life. So, as a really simple example is like not scrolling on your phone at night, do a little bit of meditation or go for a walk or have a shower, hot shower, so that you can get a more regulated sleeping pattern and all of the benefits that come with that. That's what I want to do, because I've spent the past 12 years going from being someone that's extremely unregulated to being somebody that's pretty regulated. And I've learned most of it through trial and error, through mentors, podcasts, books, seminars, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing. And as well, it's also fun for me to kind of play with stuff. So like having the ability to do that is like giving me so much more like joy. I want to say purpose. Like I don't feel like I'm just going from work and coming home, or work and home, and that's it. Like I'm training consistently again, so I feel good in my body. My emotions and my mindset are good because I've got something to focus on. You know, I feel like I'm contributing, I'm growing. It's a project, it's a passion that I'm doing, and that in and of itself is worth so much because it makes you feel like I say, there's like a meaning. You know, you've got something bigger than yourself. It's like you don't just feel. It's not like Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've kind of chucked that. Made some notes. See, even stuff like this, so that's a good point as well. Like because I'm more regulated emotionally, and I'm burning my excess energy off, and I'm more focused. I feel like I'm making better decisions. Like I'm able to be much more long term focused, and even though I'm working on a long term basis, I'm able to, every couple of days I'm doing something pretty significant that's going to actually make a difference to that long term goal. However, I'm not frustrated if I don't get everything done in one day. I'll generally have an outline for the week of the things that I want to get done. And if I don't manage to get everything done in that week, it's not the end of the world. I can stay up late and finish things. Like today, I was at work for 7 a.m. I finished work at around 5:30. I came home, meal prepped. So I've got food for the next 4 days after today. Had some of the meal prep that I made today. So I made 5 meals worth. And now I'm recording videos and it's 20 to 10. But I'm not, exhausted. I'm not tired. After I've done this, I'll edit or upload it. I'll go take a shower and I'll be in bed. And then I'm at work for 5 a.m. So if I get home tomorrow and I'm really tired because I've had a very long day today and I've got a very early start tomorrow, I'll sleep for like 20, 30 minutes and then go to the gym. I don't need to meal prep. I don't need to do any recording. And then I'll probably take a look at the charts and see what's going on in the market. So I think it's like through evolving and experimenting to play around with like how much I can work, how much I can rest, looking for the signs of when I need to rest and actually paying attention to it rather than just pushing through all the time. I feel like that level of self-awareness is becoming a very useful tool. Also, I think this is a really important one, is like my identity. I think from all of the things that I've just spoken about, at the core, because I was journaling about this like 2 or 3 months ago, and then since I journaled about it and pieced some dots together, I have then, it's really strange. It's like I put the dots together and figured out that I was going through a bit of an identity shift in a healthy way. And then as a result of realizing that, all of these new things have started to align really quite effortlessly. But as I said, it took like 12 years of failing and making mistakes and asking questions to get to this point. And I feel like something that is really simple as like, once upon a time, if I was like feeling overwhelmed and a little bit stressed, I would call in sick to work. I'd ring work, make up some bullshit excuse, and basically just sit in the sun all day, relaxing. Whereas now, I can feel that I'm overwhelmed and I can feel like I'm stressed. So I'll go to bed a little bit earlier. I'll make sure I eat as healthy as I can. Like I'll make some version of a bad snack, but make it with healthy food, like dark chocolate and almond butter, rather than like, milk chocolate and a big bag of crisps. As an example, it's like healthier. I'll do that. I'll maybe watch an hour of TV, 2 hours of TV, completely switch off from everything, wake up, go to work, come home, and then go to the gym. And being able to do that, it's honestly like the amount of effort that that used to take me to be able to do. Well, I couldn't do it. That's why I used to ring in sick to work and make up some bullshit excuses. Whereas now it's like, nah, of course I'm going to go to work. And it's like I've just, like I said, I've had this identity shift. It's still recording, I think it is, yeah. I've had this identity shift where I don't see myself as the type of person that goes to do that type of stuff anymore. And there's probably some really deep emotional, psychological factors that have gone into how I view myself, like self-esteem, conditioning, learnt behaviours, actually building a sense of self and all that type of stuff, which is for deeper videos at a later time. But because I paused and gave myself that time to reflect, I actually have got an idea of who I am now, which is a very big thing to say in a sweeping statement. But yeah, I'm taking the win, and it's a big one. So this month really showed me that if you put the work in when times are good, then you can rely on yourself a lot better when things get a little bit stressed, a little bit tired, and a little bit overwhelming. And I feel like my energy is protected. I feel like I've set boundaries. So if I'm tired or I'm overwhelmed, I don't say yes to things. I'll just, hang out with myself. And I think that by itself is something that I never really felt like I could do before, because I didn't want to let people down, or, maybe I wasn't even conscious to it. Whereas, a lot of this stuff just came from journaling about, like, I've had a bit of a shit day. Why? What happened? What did you do? How much time did you spend with this person? What food have you been eating? How much sleep did you get last night? Did you stay up for fucking 6 hours watching a really long series on Netflix and you didn't go to bed while 2 o'clock in the morning? And then, it's about just seeing where you're letting yourself down. For me anyway, this is all, I'm just kind of talking to the third person, which is me in the room. But yeah, that's May. May's been a very fascinating month. I moved in here at the start of April. It's now the start of June, and I've got to say that I'm probably the calmest in terms of my mind, the most focused, the most regulated, the healthiest boundaries, the healthiest food intake, and like very patient, but at the same time a lot of very productive work. So yeah, things are aligning very nicely, and I've taken responsibility for it, and I think that's what I was saying. Was it in this video? I've just recorded another video, so it might have been on the previous video. Yeah, it was in the previous video. But it's like I've really, over the past couple of months, just taken responsibility for where things are at, and I'm not getting overwhelmed by it. I'm feeling very high agency from it. It's like if something's going wrong, I can sort it out, and I will keep doing that until I get tired, then I'll rest, and then I'll carry on. And it seems to work. It seems to work. So I think I'm just trying to be as grounded as I can, be as real and as honest as I can. That's why I'm sort of like documenting what I'm going through. And I've got a feeling that one day it's going to be quite interesting looking back on all this, because I'm sure that there's going to be many more evolutions and bigger insights and more consciousness brought to stuff that I don't even know is going on inside my head or inside my heart, whatever. So yeah, May's been very good. I'm very excited for June, and to just keep the momentum and the progress going, really. So yeah, hope you guys are having a fantastic time. And I think one thing that I would just want to kind of put in here for something that you can take home, rather than it just being, me talking about myself, is just have a look at your week, or have a look at your day. If you're having a particularly bad day or a particularly bad week, and try and isolate the one or two things which you really feel like have brought you down or have taken your energy or they've absorbed so much of your time, and think about how that could be 10% better. That's where I started with that, and it made such a difference. Like just 10%, like, the commute to work absolutely stresses you out. Can you leave a little bit earlier and then go for a walk before work? Just something as simple as that. I used to do that when I worked in a call center. I used to hate the commute. So I would get there like half an hour early, go log in, and then go for like a 30-minute walk before work. And it completely just changed how my day went. And then when I finished work, I wasn't as likely to go and do the negative stuff. So then I had a better sleep, so I would wake up in better energy. And it's just about finding them small changes. Peace and love. Enjoy June.